Hey, what's up, guys? It's Alex here. Hope you guys are all having a good day. I'd like to apologize for the lack of uploads I've been having on the channel here lately. Long story short, my PC died a while back, and I haven't been able to make any videos for you guys here lately. So expect more uploads soon. But anyways, in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys tips and tricks on how to customize your cars properly. Now, I will say this before I begin the video. This is just how I customize my cars. You guys are free to do whatever you'd like to do. This is just mainly opinion based. But if you guys would like any videos on how to customize specific vehicles, let me know in the comment section down below. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright, so for the first car in this video, I decided to go with a 400Z, mainly just because this is like one of the only sporty cars I have in my inventory that I haven't actually customized yet. As you can see, it's bone stock. I still kept the stock colors, stock plates, same rims, literally everything about this car is bone stock. So let's go ahead and customize it and see what we can get. Alright, so a while back, they actually did an update that like completely overhauled the customization options in this game, and I'm absolutely in love with how this UI looks. It looks so much better than the previous UI did. Plus, now that we have 3D rims, it can really make your cars stand out and look a lot better during car shows. So whenever I customize my cars, I usually stick with colors that you would commonly see on this car. I try to stick with factory colors. Now, obviously, you can go outside of that and use different colors, but try and use something that's realistic to the car. With sportier cars, you can get away with more vibrant colors like a bright yellow or a bright red. You can get away with stuff like that on a car like this. But if you're driving like an SUV or like a truck or something, you probably won't want to do like a bright color. You can get away with it in some instances and it'll look good, but in many cases, it just kind of makes it look a little silly. So I recommend not doing that. So for this car, I'm thinking about doing just a generic white. I'll probably use the white down here. I just kind of like the way it looks because this is more of like a paper white and this is more of like a creamy white. So I'm going to stick with this white right here. That looks pretty good. I personally prefer the look of the black and white over the main color of this car, but that's just me. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do, now that we have paint out of the way, is just change the plate design. Now this is totally up to you. This really doesn't matter what you do. So since I'm from Georgia, I'm just going to do a Georgia plate. And I usually just do like an Atlanta frame just to kind of match with it. Plate text, again, doesn't matter. That's kind of the part of it where you can really just do whatever you want and it'd be totally fine. I mean, it's not really going to alter the look of the car that much. I also, the one thing, actually I will contradict what I just said, don't use the patterns if it doesn't go with the car. Like, for example, we got a white car right here. Like, if I use, let's say, let's find a really silly looking one. This one. This blue one right here. See, like it just kind of looks a little weird with it, or like this one right here. Personally, don't ever use these patterns on here. I just kind of stick with the main like location frames just to make it look a little more realistic. So now that we got the paint and the frame out of the way, the license plate, now let's move on to the fun part, the rims. So every 3D rim that's currently in the game right now is marked with this little like red dot to the top left of the rim. Those are the rims that I try and stick with whenever I'm customizing my cars. Now, before, I would just go with whatever I thought fit, but now that we have 3D rims, I try and stick with those as much as I can. Now, in some cars, you won't find the rim that you're looking for that'll look good, so you end up having to stick with the 2D rims. That's just how it is, unfortunately, until they add more. But I, here lately, have actually been having pretty good luck finding 3D rims, so I'm going to go ahead and just toggle that with any rim. As you can see, you go from 2D to 3D, it changes the look entirely. So let's scroll down. Let's try and find some sportier rims. Something like that might could work, but I don't think I would want to go with that for this build. And another thing with rims in this game, try and choose a rim size that fits the car. So if you're driving a sporty car, you want to have a rim size that's a little bit bigger. If you're doing like a drag car, you want to do rims that are smaller. Or if you're doing a classic car, you want to also stick with rim sizes that are smaller. If you're doing like an off-road truck, you want to stick with something that's smaller. For sportier builds, like to stay to the second to last on the left side. So that way it's not like entirely rim, but there's still, you know, a decent bit right here. So that's what I typically use whenever I'm customizing sports cars. So I went ahead and chose these rims, and I know these might be a little controversial. I'm just kind of choosing these just to see if I can get it to work with this car. I'm probably going to choose the rims for the next build for this car that I previously chose, the silver rims, but I'm going to try and work with these and see if I can't get a good build. So now that we've got the rims chosen, let's go ahead and move on to suspension. So I'd argue that the suspension is actually one of the most crucial parts in customizing the car because it changes the look of it the most, in my opinion. So since we have a sportier car, we can get away with lowering a little bit. So what I try and do whenever I lower my cars is make sure that the wheels don't scrub. That's the number one thing that you want to do when you're slamming your cars, because if the wheels scrub, it ends up looking pretty stupid. As you can see right here, the front tires, I mean, they are literally part of the fender. It's terrible looking. And you also don't want your car to look like this, where it's jacked up and looks like a monster truck. Unless that's the look you're going for, which in some cases you can actually get away with that. But for this build, I'm going to stick with keeping it low, but not too low. So this is already minus 15, and you can see there's still a little bit of a gap right there. So let's try and close that just a little bit. I'd say like negative 25. I think that looks pretty good. Now, although, let's see, is that back wheel scrubbing? Looks like it's trying to, so I actually might go up just a little more. I'm going to go to negative 20. There we go. So now, as you can see, the back is just lifted up just enough to where it's not a problem, and so is the front. So another thing too, I'm sure you're noticing the fitment isn't very good since these are 3D rims. If you've noticed, whenever you put on 3D rims, it actually expands the wheel and it makes it bigger. So because of that, they end up sticking past the wheel wells. So my biggest thing is that you do not want your tires to be sticking out of the wheel wells unless you're trying to camber the wheels. So for this build, I'm actually probably going to do very little camber, because I feel like excessive camber, wrong way. Yeah, you don't want to do that. No, this is just really entirely avoid. Don't do positive camber. But like when you slam the car all the way, I feel like a lot of times it just kind of looks silly. Unless you're doing a drift build, then you could probably get away with it. But even if I was doing a drift build, I would probably want to stick to like 50%, like that. This is probably the most I would do for a cambered car. Because when you do 100, you're basically riding on the inner part of the tire, and it just kind of looks silly. So for this build, I think I'm gonna do like, let's see, what would look good. I would say like 15 to I'll do 15. I like 15, just enough camber to where you can tell that it's cambered, but nothing absurd. But we also want to change the offset, like I said, since it's sticking out right there. So let's try and push that back. Oh, wrong one, that's the rear one. Let's try and push that back into the wheel so that way it doesn't look too terribly bad. Let's see, how does this look? I think that looks better. Having it stick out just a little bit, that should be okay. I like that. So now that we got the front wheels good, let's go ahead and pay our attention to the rear. So we want to match the camber that we did to the front. So we did minus 15 there, so you want to do minus 15 down here, that way they both look the same. As you can see, they're both cambered outward the same amount. And then the offset, same thing. You want to have it matched. The only time you want to have mix matched offset on the wheels is if you're doing like a wide body build and the back wheels stick out more than the front. In most cases, you're probably not going to end up doing that, but in some cases, for example, the limited smart car, the back wheels stick out like a substantial bit more than the front wheels do, so you could get away with having those stick out a little more. Let's see, so all of our values are matched right there. So far, actually, this is looking pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie, I actually am liking how this looks so far. I didn't think it would work. So really quick, here's a before of what the car looked like, and now here's an after right here. Now, I know this car isn't everybody's taste, so I'm actually going to do a different spec in this same car. That way you can kind of get a taste of both worlds. Alright, so we've restarted again. So this is back to stock, back to how we had it before. So now I'm going to do a little bit more of a sportier look. See, last time I kind of just had it look more cambered and look, I guess you could say more JDM-like, but now I'm going to make it look a little more sporty. So this time, I think I'm going to stick with a factory color instead of the paper white down there. I'm going to do this dark red. I feel like this looks pretty good right here. However, I could also see if I can change the finish. I'm glad that they added this option. I feel like this completely changes the dynamic of how you can customize cars. I like that actually, because it's not like too like in your face, but it's very like poppy at the same time. Like it pops, but it's not like obnoxious. So let's go with this. I actually like this a lot. Let's do the gloss. So same thing. Next, let's go with plate. Now I'm gonna do a different state plates to see if I can pull it off with a different color scheme. Because I'll be honest, the Georgia plates, they literally go with everything. Let's do Washington State. Do we have anybody from Washington State watching? If we do, I hope you guys are doing all right. Shout out to y'all. Let's see. Let's embrace being special than everybody else. Let's do very important driver. I like that frame quite a bit. So now that we have our Washington plate, does Washington require a rear plate, or I'm sorry, a front plate? Because that's one thing I failed to mention at the first in the first spec. Try whenever you do state plates to match like the state laws. If you want to go for that extra bit of realism, you don't have to do this, obviously. I mean, it's a game. It's not really that serious. But if you really want it to stand out, like if you want to really seal it in terms of realism, like states that require only a rear plate, just put a rear plate on the car. Or like, for example, like California. If you do California, make sure you have a plate in the front and the back, if that makes sense. So most states don't require a front plate, so I'm going to go on a limb and say that Washington doesn't either. I could be wrong. I'm so sorry if I am. But just for this video, let's just stick with doing rear plates only. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, let's go to rims once more. And like I said before, try to find a 3D rim if possible. I always prefer using the 3D rims. I think, in my opinion, 3D rims just look a billion times better than the little 2D rims. Because these rims don't look bad. Like, the design on the stock rims for this car are actually pretty sleek looking. It's just the fact that it's 2D, as you can see like from this angle right here, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. So let's find something else. So these rims right here caught my eye earlier. I think I'm going to go with these. These look really good. Now, like I said, same thing before, make sure the rim size is matching or corresponding to how the car is. Like if it's a sports car, have the rim size a little bit bigger. I usually don't go all the way to the left unless it's like an exotic car like a McLaren. So I usually stay like second to the left. That's usually a good sweet spot. So let's go ahead and move on to suspension. So as stated before, let's change the ride height. I'll get it back down. We did 15 last time, I believe. Let's see if we can't get away with something a little lower. This car can't really go that low compared to some of the others. Some cars you can get it all the way down to like 40 or 50 without it scrubbing the wheels. It just really depends on what you're customizing. Let's change the front offset. So now that it's not cambered, it's a little easier to do that. Let's see. Still sticking out a little bit. Let's get it, let's say, right around 60. I think that'll be good right there. Same thing with the rear. Let's stick with the 55 that we did on the front. Just like that. So already looks pretty clean. I would drive this. So one thing that I don't typically do in builds is have white rims. Now you can definitely do this in some builds. I've actually seen many builds where this works out very well. However, in a lot of my builds, I've never really had an instance where it matches perfectly. Like this doesn't look terrible. Like I wouldn't choose this, but I think if you drove this around, I wouldn't really see a major issue in it. So this actually isn't too terribly bad, but I think I want to go with black. Now, I'm actually kind of debating if I want to just do the stock rim color or if I want to do the blacked out, because I actually am leaning towards just keeping it stock for the most part. I think that looks pretty good. Again, it's a completely opinion based. I mean, everybody's going to have a different build. That's, in my opinion, it's kind of an art form, not just in this game, but in real life. I mean, like I feel like customizing a car is an art form. Like you can just do whatever you want to it because it's your car at the end of the day. So honestly, I think I'm going to go with that build. So once again, here's what the car looked like before we did the build, and now here's what it looks like after. Honestly, I think it's a really good transformation. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as I stated at the beginning, it's totally up to you what you guys decide to do with your cars. It's your car at the end of the day. If you decide to do a completely different look than what I just did, that's totally fine. This was mainly just to show off like how I build my cars and what I make mine look like. I've seen the people get away with things that I couldn't even think about doing. For example, I wanted to give this guy credit in the official Discord server. Here's his name and his screenshot right here. He actually customized the Lamborghini that just came out in the event, and he actually did a spec that was really nice. Like I couldn't have thought about doing this myself. He actually made the plate and the purple match perfectly. It's all up to you. It's also up to what you're using the car for. If you're using a car for off-roading, you want to have it probably look a little bit more off-road type. If you want it to be more for racing and cruising, you're going to maybe want it to look a little more sportier. It's all up to you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys did, please leave a like down below, and please subscribe if you guys haven't already. We just hit 100 subscribers a while back. Let's see if we can hit 150 by the end of the year. I think we can do it if I keep pushing out videos. Let's hope for the best. But as always, hope you guys have a good one.